there, you went to the eyeball. I heard about you. That's how we get our eyeballs. We look at some balls.
Oh, yeah, I did.
There, it's like, we can get it, but I'm not on the floor. He said,
Everybody else comes to it. You have to bring all those trucks.
that's all right.
Everybody in there.
It is fun, yeah.
We dominate that way. They don't have-
We have a lot of cars.
There was one truck there that could be. It's throttle, so it's just the way it goes. Don't look, no, I've only ever lifted once, I couldn't see. The driver windshield doesn't matter, you can't see out the side window when the driver's full, then you don't want to go. You watch that berm.
Well, they're thinking about digging it down again, adding more,
How deep is it? Oh, that was probably 3 foot.
and it rained.
Oh, so it's a super. Yeah, that one. Well, even the one
Well,
over there.
We had the rodeo, we had to put, 3 loads of sand in.
Because of the rain? Oh, really?
It was. Doesn't think, what are we gonna do here? So we had to bring in some sand and we were getting that worked out well. And, I don't know. It was either dusty or soupy.
Yeah.
And then we had the demo derby.
Oh, wow.
We were bad. I can't believe. Yeah.
Good seats?
To the pit.
Oh, yeah.
Are we up and going?
Can you hear us, Corey?
I can hear you.
Oh, we can't.
Oh, just turn the volume up. Can I do that, right?
Change the order.
I
Computer will blow up.
The
like
volume
that.
is up on top.
I know myself.
Right here. Here.
Oh geez, we're gonna use the buttons.
Mhm.
Got the fancy skills. Look at that.
Now talk.
better.
Much better.
Yeah.
Justin on there too, or is it just Corey?
He was in the other link and Ashley sent me this one, so I got on this one. But there was a couple others that went on the link that's in the meeting minute or meeting agenda online.
We only have Corey, he said.
Yeah, Justin's on the other meeting. Yep. See if I can invite him.
And split personalities here.
I agree. And so
I'm gonna go to the tourism meeting, pop the link for this meeting in the chat and ask everyone who's on tourism, to click this link to come over to ad hoc, and then I'll come back and
Also,
see
they're in the
see
tourism.
if that works. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, wait to start.
yeah, unless there's something on the agenda that doesn't involve. Yeah.
Well, the Packers.
What's that?
We talking about the Packers?
Yeah, yeah.
How about the Brewers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they did lose one they got
Yeah,
yesterday.
you
lost
Last one. Yep. We had 1-0 when I left home here this afternoon, so double header today.
Cubs, right? 2 games of the
I
Cubs.
cannot believe that
4
we
games,
left
I think.
over that.
Huh?
I can't believe we left home over that.
Were you?
I had a buddy that went out there with his sons, and this was right when they're in the middle of the street. They were texting him, "You better not be bad luck." Well, they were down like by 4 runs, and then they came back and won it. So
I've never known there were this many Brewers fans around,
Yeah.
like 2/3 of the way through the streak.
Yeah. They come out when they get a streak going like that.
mhm.
We were down there week before last, they played the Cubs.
Oh.
Last game of the Cubs, Wednesday afternoon. They lost. So we caught the blame when we got home. Naturally. All kinds of texts. Told you not to go.
Yeah. What is it? 9-game lead on the Cubs? Is that what it is? 8 or 9, something like that?
Yeah, I think it's 8, I think I heard.
here's my wonder friend. By rule.
I could change it, bro.
Get your heart broken off and off, you stop paying money.
Live, what we have called moving hours.
Sounds like it's coming back.
Alrighty, the tourism link was accidentally put on both agendas, so we'll just send little emails here. And because John was also in the other.
Another meeting? You're not done.
Well, he said he was going this morning to the highway, but.
No, there's Justin.
I can go call him.
Sorry about that,
Hey.
Justin.
No, no worries at all. Good afternoon.
Do we need to do anything?
Yep, he was on the other one and I just emailed him, so he should pop on shortly here.
I'm not the numbers.
I don't know.
Is he good to go then, huh?
I would think so. Are you, I'm sorry, was Justin first or was
Yeah,
me?
yes, he is.
Okay,
Okay, we'll call the construction committee meeting to order
Motion to approve minutes?
from August 4th. Yep. Second? Terry, you got a second for minutes?
It'll be one of these meetings.
Yeah,
Yep.
second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, discussion and possible motion, presentation from Baird on updated long-term capital improvement plan, borrowing projections for highway and jail construction projects. So here we are.
Ashley, would you like me to share my screen or?
yeah, if you wouldn't mind, yep,
Yeah.
thank you.
Can absolutely do that. Okay. Can everyone see it okay?
We're in a very small room, but they have printed copies as well.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, there's no-
Let's see here. Maybe I can blow it up a little bit. But so yeah, so to kind of kick things off here, the reason for this presentation is that Ashley reached out and said, hey, you know, we probably want to give an updated presentation to the committee members on what's been going on, because one of the big things we've been waiting for this past year has been the valuation of the county. You know, as I've been talking about in prior meetings and county board meetings, one of the data points that we've been kind of projecting is the valuation growth of about 2.5% annually. We wouldn't know what that growth rate was until Department of Revenue released the latest and greatest valuation increases in August. So that was released a couple weeks ago and finalized in the last couple of days. And the county's valuation significantly was higher than what we were projecting at 2.5%, which, you know, is great from the point of the impact to the taxpayers. But we've always used the 2.5%, hopefully being conservative and outcomes like this happening where it comes in way better than what we had projected. So what we're going to go through today is just kind of talking about that 20-year history of the taxing, the valuation tit out, and then kind of looking at the 2025 top 10 fastest growing counties over this prior year as far as valuation increase goes. So over the last 20 years, one of the key points here on the left side of the page is that's your valuation, the county's valuation year over year and how it's looked. So I think the important thing here to look at is the average growth rate is around 4.09%. So we've been using 2.5% growth. It's been historically 4.09%, and that accounts for some of these, where we had the housing crisis, where in 2009, 2010, that's taken into account with those negative values in those years, which is, was seen throughout the state of Wisconsin, municipalities, counties, et cetera. Everyone saw valuation drops because of the corrections in the housing market and so forth. Then we've seen some steady growth a couple of years, 16 and 17, where it was slightly negative. And then really from then, it's been pretty robust year over year for the county. And with the last several years, 2022 through 2025 being pretty significant, including 2021. When we started looking at this project back in 2021, 2022, we didn't know where valuations were going to go. So we've been modeling out this, assuming a much lower valuation than where we are currently today. So that has helped, whether it been developments that have happened within the county, just growth in housing prices, inflation, et cetera. Home values are worth more today than they were several years ago. So we've seen the valuation increase pretty dramatically for the county, and that plays a role into the tax impact for financing. So when you look at the right side of the page, Rusk County was the second highest growth county of the 72 counties. Iron County was slightly ahead at 17.77%. Otherwise, of the 72, Rusk was number 2 in the highest growth that we saw from a valuation perspective from 2024 to 2025. So again, statewide was 8.07. So Rusk was significantly higher than even the state average that we saw. So again, this is all great news as far as, what is the impact to the taxpayer? What does that mean from this overall financing package and the building projects, and how does that impact the average taxpayer, et cetera, into this whole situation? So the next page here on page 3, this is the financing scenario that I've shown you in the past. And what we did is we basically updated the potential tax impacts year over year to reflect this increased valuation. Because if the debt stays the same and your valuation increases, that's going to reduce your tax impact per $100,000 of valuation on a person's property. So right now in 2025, you can see the tax impact on debt service is $1.60 per $1,000 of valuation. Year over year, going from 26, 27, 28, 29, you can see that there's now a 17-cent impact, 16-cent, 16-cent, and 16-cent for a total of 65 cents per $1,000 of valuation. This is pretty significant compared to what we were telling the county not only just a couple months ago, because again, we were using a much lower valuation in these projections. We were assuming that this same type of financing would be about 98 cents per $1,000 to the taxpayer. So a 33-cent reduction to the tax impact, assuming that the financings stay the same at 33 or at $38 million for $33.5 million for the jail and $16 million for the highway shop. So total of $49.5 million between both projects. And, you know, you've heard from the construction teams, they feel pretty confident about their numbers and where they're going to come in. We've been going through the process. You've been getting the design going. That's cost a significant amount of money to the taxpayers to get that all working, you know, in the works. Where, you know, all the domino pieces are coming together and falling accordingly. So this is nothing new that I've shown you. It's just showing you that because of the higher valuation and keeping the financing total amount of borrowed funds the same, it does lead to a reduction in the tax impact that you're going to see per $1,000 of valuation. So that's pretty significant. The other thing to point out in the bottom right part of this page, you can see that there's a note in there, and we've talked about this in other committee meetings, is that when you finance these projects, say you get the $33.5 million in issue number 1, and again, that is not going to be spent day one. You're going to get the $33.5 million and you're going to begin to pay some of the invoices. And then when you get into 2026, you're really going to be starting to pay a lot more of the invoices. But for that period of time where you're not spending all of the money, you're able to invest that money into different types of, you know, CDs, et cetera, the local government investment pool that'll earn you money in the meantime. So that's important because that significant amount of money can be invested at right now above a 4.25% interest rate. We're assuming in this kind of drawdown schedule based on what Kurt has provided and others of how you're going to be spending this money, that you're going to be able to earn 3.5%, trying to be conservative again in the planning of this. If you earn more, great. It's just going to be more money that you can use towards the project or other capital projects. So if you earn 3.5% based on the draw schedules that we've seen, that'll lead to about $1 million in investment earnings over the life of these projects. That $1 million can be used to help reduce that final financing, the $9.5 million in 2027 that I have there, issue number 3. That could be used to help offset that financing. So we, instead of borrowing 9.5 in the final phase, maybe we borrow $8.5 million. Or if there's, you know, cost overruns that you as a committee and county board decide, hey, as we're going through this process, maybe we want to add this little piece to the project. You could do that and use this investment earnings towards the project costs of the project. So that's a big deal. $1 million. I mean, that's a lot of money that can be helped to offset any unforeseens or reduce this overall financing package later down the road. The other important thing to point out in this financing kind of overall plan here is the first financing is the $33.5 million, which gets a good chunk of the jail financed, $17.5 million. It gets the entire highway shop financed. And if the highway shop comes in under the $16 million that I have in here, that's great, right? Then just some of that can be shifted towards the jail, and then we can reduce a future financing for the jail in either 2026 or 2027 because we don't need as much funds because the highway shop came in under budget. So it's easy. We've got it set up so you can easily shift funds between the projects as needed. We know the jail is going to cost at least $17.5 million. That's what we do know. We don't know if the highway shop is going to be the $16 million, but that's fine. Great. If you can get it under, let's shift more towards the jail and reduce a future financing into the future. The other part of this is we know we've got the capital improvement projects just for your general, you know, road improvements, equipment purchases, et cetera, of $3 million every other year. So we wanted to model that in for 2026, which covers 2026 and 2027. Then it factors in an additional $6.5 million in 2026 to continue funding the jail because you're going to be running out of money at a certain point in 2026. So this gets you the additional monies that'll get you through 26 and through a good chunk of 2027. That issuance is $9.5 million. And again, remember the key there is we want to keep 2 of the 3 financing as bank qualified, meaning that they're under $10 million and you're going to receive better interest rates when we go out to the market because you're considered a small issuer in the municipal bond world space. Anything under 10 million that you issue in a calendar year, you're considered small in the municipal bond world. So we're trying to keep those final 2 pieces of financing at $9.5 million or less, or less than $10 million. So that's the overall kind of long-term plan. It factors in this, and then it also factors in $3.5 million in that combined future debt service column, $3 million every other year forever to continue funding those needed investments with road improvements, equipment purchases, et cetera, that the county board has to go through and approve in budget season, every year. So that is also modeled in to try to think of and plan for everything that we're seeing into the future. When we get to 2036, you can see that the mill rate for debt service begins to start to drop year over year because your debt service levy stays flat. And if you're growing and that's the debt service levy stays flat, then your mill rate for debt service begins to go lower and lower. And as you pay down your debt, you can see it's got significant drops here in the back end there in 2046 and 2047 thereafter. So that's the long-term plan that I've been working on with Ashley, Jamie, Tanya, everyone over at the county that I've been talking for the last several years about. This is kind of the overall plan to get both these larger scale projects done at a very reasonable impact to the taxpayers year over year. And again, it's a lot to do with just your valuation increases. Interest rates are still pretty attractive. The investment earnings is very attractive right now on the short-term basis. Who knows what the Fed is going to be doing here over the next year? But overall, in a very good position from where we started looking at things several years ago. Now, if we go to the next page, the general obligation borrowing capacity bar chart, if you recall, this is where it shows that counties are allowed to borrow up to 5% of your equalized valuation TID in. So your valuation now, including tax increment districts, is $2 billion, 200 million, 53 million. It's a significant amount, and it's basically doubled over the last 20 years. So your valuation has taken off, especially over the last couple of years, as I showed you on a couple pages prior. Why that's important is when we started modeling out these different projects, we kind of had that bogey of saying we don't want to use more than 60% of our borrowing capacity on the capital improvement projects and these building projects. So how to read this bar chart here is the black bars here, that's your existing principal outstanding year over year. That's what's on your books as of today. And you can see how that decreases over time as you're paying down that debt. The blue bars, that's stacked on top because that would be the first kind of phase of the jail financing. So that's $17.5 million. It's stacked on top. The $16 million for the highway is then stacked on top of that. And then the gray bar on top of that is what is remaining. That's your available borrowing capacity after the projects are financed later in 2025, if that's the decision of the county board. So factoring in both those, the $33.5 million plus your existing, you still have about $67.7 million in available borrowing capacity, or about 60% remaining capacity. So we were talking, we want to make sure we always have at least 40%. You've got 60% remaining capacity. So that gives us all comfort on where that looks. Then if we factor in the remaining portions of the building projects, the remaining portions of the the jail and future CIPs. So the remaining portion of the CIP here is the orange that's stacked on top of the red. That's the $3 million every other year going forward for life. The 2026 jail, that's that's even stacked on top of that. That's that light green bar. And then the light red is the 2027 jail. And then that $3 million CIP that's forever, every other year, that's the purple stacked on top. So it literally counts for everything we can think of, you know, in the foreseeable future. And what this is showing is that at any point, it basically has about 50% remaining capacity at any point in time, 50+%. So we were talking 40%. We at least have always about 50% remaining capacity, assuming we continue to grow at 2.5% annually. If we continue to grow faster, this percentage just continues to go higher, assuming the borrowings stay where they are projected today. So that's another very positive thing, because, you know, as we're going through the bond rating process and so forth, this is important visual that I share and communicate with them to show them the long-term outlook of the county, which should get them comfortable with saying, yeah, you can get these building projects done without impacting your bond credit rating into the future. The last page here, this is really just a summary of those tax impacts that we were talking about earlier. So the first, on top of the page, you can see the estimated borrowing amount for the highway, $16 million. Estimated borrowing amount for the jail, $33.5 million. Total amount, $49.5 million. So that's what the resolution that is in your agenda packet considers. That's what's going to go to the county board. It's saying basically you're going to authorize up to $49.5 million for the jail and highway related projects. We still will need to go at a future meeting to get the financing approved, but this ultimately says, yes, we want to move forward with up to $49.5 million in projects, which will give bidders confidence that these projects are going to potentially happen. And again, it's going to be reliant on a county board approval of the financing later at a future meeting date. But this is just to kind of this is like the next simple step in the process to say, yeah, we're continuing down the path of up to $49.5 million in financing. We just don't know when we're going to do the financing, essentially. So the mill rate impact over 2024, 25, as we talked about, it's going to be stepped into multiple years. So it's not going to be 65 cents in the first year to the taxpayer. It's going to be 17 cents per $1,000, or essentially $17 per $100,000 evaluation to a taxpayer, $17. Then it would be an additional $16, an additional $16, an additional $16 for a total of 65 cents per $1,000 evaluation. So if we look at the $100,000 property, like I was just talking about, that's $65 for that entire impact. So again, the $17, the 16, that all adds up to the $65. So it's spread out incrementally over time. So it's not a huge impact at any one point in time. It's spread out over multiple years as the buildings are being built. The property tax on a $189,000 property, just to kind of give perspective, would be a total of $122.85. So again, that's not day one, that's spread out over multiple years to get to that $122 impact, which then it stays at that impact for a period of time before we get to that 2035 year where it starts to begin to drop, assuming the debt service levy stays flat and the county continues to grow at 2.5% is based on what we're projecting. So with that, I will be happy to answer any questions.
I have one playing the devil's advocate.
Yeah.
When he's got to. Okay, in Sheldon, we are the ones that are the high end, so thank God the rest of the county got it drawn down to 17%. My valuation is going to go up probably more. I'm going to spend more money because my property is going to be valued much more, even though the mill rate is lower, because we got a huge increase in Sheldon. And so it's not a savings for me, to be honest. And that's going to come up. Hopefully somebody will figure that out, I would think, besides me. I'm not a financial genius. So, because if my valuation goes up by, I don't know, I'm guessing probably 35% or more, savings in the mill rate comes out to the same in the end, roughly. So that's going to happen out there, since the county is 17% across the board. Some municipalities, I'm sure, are very high and some are fairly low. So I don't know what that scene looks like. But anyhow, that's something that will enter into this discussion somewhere along the line. Not by me. I'm just asking you to be prepared.
You understand that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very valid point, right? If your property value is worth more, you know, this year because of valuation increases to your property, because it's just you could sell it for more. That's I guess some people view that as a good thing. Other people do not, but yeah, that would have an offsetting factor for sure.
And that's gonna be shared with different townships and
Yeah.
villages. I know we're up for a revaluation next year.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, that's gonna be going up what the assessor says. I mean, you know.
Yeah, ours took a jump. So the savings compared to the first sheet is not a whole lot of money, bottom line. You know, regardless, the mill rate's down, but the cost valuation is up. So I saw mine, I just about had a heart attack. So I know what houses are going for in Sheldon, except for maybe
But the valuation for a homeowner, there's also new construction builds that go into that total valuation.
Yeah.
It's a balance of both of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess I'll just speak from experience of what I've seen from other counties, is that one of the things that jumps out to me at Justin's numbers, and he's being conservative because he's looking out for your best interest. But if you look at the last 4 years from
Yeah.
22 to 25, it's nowhere near 2.5%, right? So the scenario that he's projecting for you over the next 3
Yeah.
years on this borrowing is if it stays where it is, somewhere even close to 9 or 10%. The projections that he's given to you are very conservative of what that looks like, whether it's new construction or whether it is reevaluation. Right? And I think that's the piece to consider.
If it stays up there.
Correct. I mean, you could potentially, and that, I'm not going to throw a number out there, but you can potentially significant lower number for what he was showing you on that mill rate component if it stays tracking where it is, because he's doing it based on 2.5%.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, and over the course of the 20 years, you were at 4. So significant potential there.
Yeah, you hope that it's not just all inflation, which, you know, the statewide average is was at 8.07%. So you hope that a good chunk of this is new development, new construction, that type of value also, in addition to inflation that you're seeing for the valuation, reevaluations and so forth. But hopefully a lot of it is, you know, new development in these numbers as well.
And that's what I've seen from other counties, is that the amount of builds that they've had in the new construction, it's not like it's doubling. They're staying consistent or slightly rising because of the homes that are being built, but the cost of those homes is significantly higher than what it was 5 years ago. So therefore, you're seeing those new builds are starting to add into that, even though you're not seeing that they're doubling the amount of builds. And at least that's what I've been seeing with all over the county that we've been dealing with, that they've been seeing these bumps in evaluation because the cost of new construction is higher. So it's adding to that. So.
Yep.
Yeah. Right.
I guess I have a question, just from hearsay amongst county board members. If this project happens to get split somewhere down the road, say the jail first and the highway shop next, or vice versa, these numbers all go out the window then, I imagine. Or will they be accurate on each individual project?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, this is modeling in assuming it's one package altogether, and it would be cut up into different pieces, but overall, assuming that the project costs stayed at $33.5 million for the jail and $16 million for the highway, the total impact would likely stay around that 65-ish cent total. Now, there probably will be, it won't be as incremental as what I'm showing on the finance plan of around 16 to 17 cents per year. If it's split up and, you do one project now and then you do another project potentially later, that could have a larger potential one jump increase, and then a smaller increase thereafter, just because of the size of the potential borrowing that may need to take place. But yeah, overall, it's probably going to stay around the 65 cents, but it's just going to be how do we want to get to that point, and what needs to be financed, what does the draw schedules look like, when do we need to get the funds? It's all got to come into kind of the overall the plan, based on whatever's decided. But this is assuming everything is kind of moving forward in the same direction at the same time.
To talk a little bit about when we reconvened as the ad hoc again, and we talked about scaling back the jail and bringing in phase one of the highway. The strategy behind bringing them together is that it gives you, and I think that's part of what we need to talk about next Tuesday, is that the board is giving Justin the authorization to borrow up to an amount. When you guys then authorize those borrowings, what he's talking about is that, let's say that you decide you're going to do phase one of the highway and you're going to do the first part of the jail. But then in year two, you say, hey, we want to do the balance of the highway. Why you would do that, I don't know. But let's just say you are. Now he has to evaluate how much is he borrowing in that second borrowing. Right now, he's saying they're both starting at the exact same time. So our strategy of doing this was get Q&E going so we can get hard numbers for the highway, right? For phase one and the complete project. Get Corey going so that he can do the jail at its reduced element and the skywalk as an ad alternate. So you have all those numbers together.
Right.
The timing of getting Baird to approve this means they have to get their paperwork in order. You guys aren't borrowing $49.5 million with this. You are saying we're not going to exceed this number. And then in the future, now he's going to bring you a borrowing component for you to authorize borrowing for whatever that scope may be. Kind of like what you said. If you're just going to do the highway, what's that borrowing? And then what would be the borrowing for the jail? And if you decide you're not going to do one or the other, you're never going to spend the 49.5. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree. And that's exactly what we need to explain the next Tuesday night.
Yeah.
To
Tuesday night, you guys are not spending $49.5 million.
Right.
You're not. You have so many times that are going to come before you. We're going to bring you bids for the jail. CUNY is going to bring you bids for the highway. You guys can look at those bids and say, we don't like them. We want to rebid it. You may very well tell your architectural team, we need to rechange this, rescope it, and we bid it. And behind the scenes, you still have approval to Baird to say, we've got the funds available. We're not pulling the trigger to borrow it. We're not going to borrow any money until we say we're going to move forward with the project. And that's why you're lining all that bid information up so you can make the unknowns known. And I think this was a big piece about this evaluation. It was an unknown that we didn't know. And this is good news, whether it's higher value on properties or if it's construction that's worth more than what you've seen historically. All of this data is coming to you so that you can make a more informed decision. And that's what the strategy was, to get this all before you so that you are making the decision when all the knowns are in front of you.
Right. Yep.
But I also think, and I think Justin would agree, that if they split it and move the, say, which I know some are in favor of, to move the jail down the road, those costs are going to go up astronomically. We're going to be spending a lot more money, millions of dollars more for the jail. And that changes all of this stuff too. I mean, right now it's the sweet spot, if you will, to do them both together. But if it goes down the road 2 or 3 years, 4 years, the jail, instead of being 33.5, could be 38, 40 million. It's going to cost a lot more in borrowing.
I think that goes for both projects here.
Right,
If you
but-
wait on the highway and you wait 3 or 4 years, it's gonna be more.
Right,
Right.
but the jail is going up faster. The cost of construction for a jail are going faster than the cost for the
It
highway
is.
shop.
I mean, construction in general is not going down. That's why the strategy of how do you get to that?
Right, but the jail is going up faster. And so if they try to put it off, that's going to cost the taxpayers millions of dollars more down the road.
But I think here's discussions that I've had at other county boards to your point. Waiting, you're going to see inflation and the cost of construction is gonna go up. The other component that isn't even factored into that is that, let's say that it goes up $5 million. Either one of them goes up $5 million. Your first impact is $5 million, but now you're going to pay interest on that $5 million over a 20-year borrowing that you otherwise wouldn't have had to. So now you have to compound that number with not just the borrowing, but what's your interest over that. So making that decision to do it now stops the inflation side, but it also stops that increased interest. And that's where you guys are in a spot where, what's that point, right? And that's going to be the determining factor of how much do you want to borrow and what do you want to proceed with.
Mhm.
I mean, I was totally shocked by the vote because everybody agreed to have Baird do all this for both projects. There was no opposition. Well, I know there was some opposition, but I was totally shocked when the vote actually came up then. I was like,
Here's my read on it, is that the reason that it didn't get approved is that you guys didn't have all of the data in front of you for them to feel comfortable. And I think they were thinking that they were spending all of that money that night. You're not. All you're doing is authorizing for future borrowings, and you have flexibility on what each one of those borrowings look like, right? So Justin's giving you a strategy right now, and depending on what that looks like, he may come to you at the market in a year from now and say, hey guys, interest rates drops. We should probably do something a little bit different because this is going to make
Yes.
it better for you. That's what you're setting yourself up for.
well, I'm glad you're more hopeful than I am.
I'm not hopeful one way or the other. I just feel that we need to get all the data in front of them
Right.
one way or the other, because you guys have done the right thing of right sizing these jobs. You've broken them down to where they need to be. You've listened to the community. The community said, don't just do the jail. We need to do something with the highway, which you do. I mean, your master plan said you got to do both of them, and you guys are doing the due diligence to figure it out. You're doing the right thing. So
We're trying.
Yeah, that's why I guess, between yourself and Corey and Justin, I mean, and John from the highway, we need to, bring that all out at the board meeting, so
Yep.
they are all aware of it, they all hear it, you know. Basically what you guys are telling us now, so.
Yep.
You know, and a good point is, we're not spending that 49 million, you know, that night.
let's just ask
Well, I
Justin the
think that-
question. After the 49, if you guys get to a point in a couple of months from now, or even a year from now, if you don't want to spend any more of it, is there any penalty by them doing that?
No, because every time we're going to bring a potential financing package to you, the board's going to have to vote on it in order for us to go to the bond market. So again, this doesn't allow us to go to the bond market. We still need to get another approval at a future date of the first, say, phase of the financing package. And then you get to vote on that.
Yeah, and that's been a misconception, I think, of
Yeah.
a lot of people.
This is like a pre-approval of I need to go get a car loan, and you go to the credit union and you say,
Pre-approved,
I
yeah.
need 20 grand to get a car. You're approved for 20 grand and you go and buy one for 17.5. You're not borrowing 20 grand, you're borrowing 17.5.
Yep.
That's what you're dealing with.
And Justin, can you talk a little bit too about if we have this resolution in place, that will help bidders be more comfortable putting the time in bidding on our projects as well?
Yes, and I'm sure Kurt and others can can comment on that, but just from the efficiency standpoint, from the confidence that, assuming they bid and they get the cost of the project at that or less, that it's going to move forward. Like everyone's in agreement that, that if that uncertainty is out of the picture, that the projects will occur, because these bidders spend a lot of time coming up with their bids. And if they see that the county's not actually serious or potentially going to move forward at a future date, they're going to honestly spend less time and less sharpening their pencils to provide as competitive bids as we'd like to see. So, I think this is just a nice little step to show confidence to the bidders that, hey, if you can bid a great bid, we're gonna move forward.
Makes sense. Any more questions?
No, one is, let's get this out to board members as soon as possible, and they can contact you if they have any questions. Because to get it 2 days ahead of time or 3 days ahead of time doesn't work very well.
Justin, will you be at the board meeting in person? Because I think that makes a big difference if.
Yeah, I told Ashley I can be there in person for the county board.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you guys have any questions on that resolution then in front of you? So this is, Justin and I met with Quarles.
There's only one copy.
Yeah, the color copy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you have any? You can read it.
I can pass it around.
We can pass it around. We still got a few more reports. So.
We haven't gotten.
So it's the intent.
Is the okay to borrow an amount not to exceed 49,500,000 by issuing this general obligation promissory notes for public purposes, including cost of jail and highway projects? So it's given the okay to go forward with the, quick look at it. With the Terry.
So like Justin said, then any borrowing still has to come back to the board for a vote.
Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear
Right.
that this isn't a borrowing resolution.
Mhm.
Yeah, so if the borrowing resolution comes in October and you vote that down, then you don't borrow.
Right.
Mhm.
But this is going to have to get done or it's not going to get on next year's tax statements. We're facing a
Correct.
deadline there.
Right, Justin, when would
Correct.
be the drop dead date for that?
October would be potentially great, but like we could go to November if that is where everyone feels more comfortable, and then we just would kind of line things up accordingly to potentially jump into the market, late November or early December, so we can close in December because it needs to be done. And I'm sure Connie's there. She'd like it a little earlier, but that would be kind of like pushing it to the end.
Mhm.
But I can't get it on the tax roll then because November 15th is our deadline for budget to turn it into the Department of Revenue. So I
Yeah.
could on the tax roll for 2026, yeah.
Yeah, ideally we would be into the market and locked in at least what the payments are going to look like before that date, Connie. So you could use that in the for your numbers, and then we would just close potentially thereafter, but nothing's going to change between the time you lock in to the closing.
Any more questions? Well,
Alright.
thank you, Justin. We'll see you next Tuesday evening.
My pleasure. See you then.
Thank you.
Thanks, Justin.
Yep. Bye.
Okay, move on.
Need a motion, right?
Yeah, some old.
Yep. I suppose.
That'd be easy.
You make a motion?
Yeah. You can get shot for it. Well,
Everybody looks at you.
A motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried.
To present this to the county
The
board.
county board,
Forward it to the county.
correct.
to get it on the agenda.
Okay, design update from Cooney Architects for Highway Department project. Are you on there, John?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
And are you seeing the screen?
It's not very well.
So I'll just go through the, essentially, we're continuing to put together what we call the bid package, the construction drawings. The one item on the site plan that was talked last meeting was to create this pavement all the way through for plowing. So I've done that and just hatched these two little islands. So we've acknowledged that piece of it. The two different hatch patterns you're seeing here, the darker gray is going to be all new pavement. And then the lighter gray is the existing pavement that we're going to reuse that's around the fuel island.
Mhm.
Any questions on the site plan?
No, I don't think so. You got any, Terry?
Can't really see it, but it's okay.
It was last time, I think, pretty much, but
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Oh,
other than that, I'll just fumble through all we're up to 24 pages of the documents, working on site plan details. The one area, we have all the building sections, so the profiles of the building, so the structural engineer's been working on the structural part of the building. So the building sections will also show you interior view elevations with windows and doors, wall sections, miscellaneous details. And then we're also starting to put all the floor finishes together that we'll work with Justin to make sure we have the right ones too. Just kind of working through all the finishes high level. All the technology, so wherever computers are, phones are, we've been working through that with our technology consultant. And pretty much started all the structural layout, analyzing what's the most cost-effective way to put the structure together. We've been working with the structural engineer on that piece. And there again, more structural details. So really high level, we're just continuing to go through this construction document drawings. Any questions on any part of the building you want me to focus on?
no, I don't think so. I mean, it's pretty cut and dried.
Okay,
Seen it in the past.
yep. So really, nothing else has really changed on the plan layout. It's just that we're pushing forward for the all the details that go into the bid package.
And we're still planning on concrete precast walls, correct?
That's exactly what we have planned right now, correct? All load bearing.
Mm-hmm.
What we're analyzing right now is whether we take those walls down to the footing depth, or if we do a frost wall. It's really depends on the time we bid it of the year and when they can construct it. We may just put in the documents an alternate bid to take the precast panels all the way down to frost bearing footing.
Okay. All right.
Have you got hold of the state yet on that salt shed? Can we make this part of this project, or they're still not answering very well on what they want to do?
Waiting on funding.
Hmm?
So waiting on funding. We're not the only ones asking, so.
Yeah.
But I got our lid documents sent into them to move forward on it. We're just waiting on the funding.
Okay.
27 at the soonest, when they do is 27 south, that's where at the soonest we would see it.
Okay.
So, and they're in their hands. where we go from
Would they
there.
put it on this site or different one?
It'll be on the site.
I'm just curious, you know, as long as we're spending a lot of money, might as well spend it all.
I'm trying to make it a conjoined one, that's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
do.
Any more questions? I guess if not, you will be available next Tuesday night for the full board meeting?
Yes, I will be on site for the board meeting, correct? Yep.
That would be great, and then give the full board a full update on plans, and hopefully there'll be some questions that some of them have had anyway.
We have to hear from both architects that this is, even though this is not set in stone, if you're going for the 49 million, there are some board members who are questioning whether that's enough or it's gonna be higher. So you have to be able to convince the board, this is the top point. Hopefully we can work down from there. I think that was one of them.
Hopefully
That
bids
was-
will come in under and.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, John, thank you.
All right,
We
thank
will
you.
see you next week.
All right, thank you.
I can have appendicitis by then.
I don't think so. I'll pick you up.
Okay, design update from Venture Architects for the jail.
All right, I'll just throw up the floor plans. We've been working on it. Our engineers have been working on everything diligently. We'll have a progress set out by the end of the month. Get that to Kurt for some preliminary pricing on that, just to solidify our designs. So we've been working on that. We'll be there on Wednesday to kind of just do a general overview of civil and landscape. The survey field work is supposed to be done this week. And then I believe the geotech next week, we should have at least a preliminary report. So that'll be a progress to make sure to confirm all the utilities and infrastructure is properly located.
Just a minute, Corey, Terry was asking, so he's talking about 2 days from now. We're
Yeah,
meeting
this
with the
week.
team to work on, the
Oh,
design,
okay,
not with the
not the
committee.
board.
Correct. We've
Right.
been bringing in Brett and, facilities and all that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
we're working on design with both elements, and then we'll be here Tuesday for the board meeting.
Floor plan's pretty much complete and solidified on that. So we've did look at a few things, like I mentioned, I think the last time, looking at some of the square footage efficiencies, see where we can cut some of that again. I think we did a pretty decent job in getting everything to work out. So, and just working on the drawings and getting them complete as quickly as we can.
Mhm.
Soil borings, like Corey said, those did get done. I didn't hear anything that we had anything underground, so that's good.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Didn't hit any power lines or anything like
No,
that, or
no.
no?
We didn't hit any underground utilities, so I'm always happy when they.
That's good.
That's a good thing.
So,
Okay.
any questions on documents or?
Was this the one we were talking about mid-September to have the bids ready to go out?
No, we're gonna have, like you said, a progress set, and then we're gonna update the budget. So I'm basically taking it to contractor, but it's not going to be a bid. It's gonna be getting numbers in. They're
Okay,
gonna keep moving that along, so,
okay.
yeah, correct.
So you have some rolling numbers as you go and.
Yeah, so the way that we handle that, because there's so many fluid numbers and some of them mechanical and electricals with those markets, is that I get those bids back from the contractors and I ask them, it's not bids, but estimates back from the contractors. If there are variables in there that we're seeing some peaking in the markets, we look at adjustments of what we may do for materials or the layout that's there. So that helps them finalize what they do with their CDs.
Mhm.
Mechanical and electricals have been the most volatile markets for us in the jail side.
Mhm.
The old copper market right now has not helped us.
Somebody's fixing it though.
Yep.
Any more questions at all, or?
No,
No, I guess not. So, I guess we'll present next Tuesday night and see what
Yep.
happens.
I'll be there.
Sounds great. All right,
All right,
thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments or? You want to hold off next meeting date till after a full board? See what happens, or you
Well, we can
want to?
set a date. Well, we got 3 out of 4 of us here. It'd be easier to set it now than cancel if we have to, or.
You can, yep. Yep. Let's see, meeting's on the 26th, right?
Yep.
Board meeting. Let's see, September 1st was Labor Day. Eighth. September 8th.
We have to be again in. We can't be here.
Can't be here either.
There's other, I mean, we could use another conference room on the third floor or that type of extension office too. We could do that. Up to you. I mean.
Yeah.
Well. Days doesn't have to be on a Monday, I guess. That's what night is booked.
Yeah.
Monday seems to work good for everybody.
Yeah.
One.
Well, that's, that's 4 weeks.
15th is open.
15th would work.
Yeah, I guess that's not too far out, I don't think, I guess. 4 weeks, but should know more.
Yep.
One way or the other. That'll work for you, Terry? 15?
Something more.
This room or the big one? Big one.
At 3 o'clock?
3 o'clock on the 15th. September already.
Yeah, for the year ago.
September 15th, 3 o'clock. All right. And we'll hope for the best next Tuesday and see what happens, see if we can get the info out there and hopefully there's questions that can get answered. I think a major one will be the fact that we're not spending $49 million tonight. That's,
Yeah.
You know. So we'll see what happens. Okay, we are adjourned.
Everyone?
Thank
Thank
you.
you.